There is the cause for the arising of extraordinary mindfulness. According to four forms of mindfulness is to cultivate the extraordinary mindfulness. That preceding mindfulness itself is the cause for the succeeding mindfulness. The observation, the continuous observation of four objects, the four kinds of physical objects, feelings, mind, and Dhamma objects or mental objects. So, note or observing four kinds of objects whenever they become yes, that helps to develop the good mindfulness. The simile given as in the school lessons we learned in the lower classes or are supportive to classes higher grades. The earlier education is supportive to the later. School education is very much supportive to the university education. In the same way, in the practice, the earlier mindfulness helps the later mindfulness. Therefore, the continuity of mindfulness should be there. The continuity of mindfulness is very supportive for the development. So, the continuity of mindfulness is very supportive for the development of the high quality should be very continuous, and we should be observing the objects constantly without any gap. The consistency or regularity should be there, and then only we can have the mindfulness of good quality. If we are not observing the objects continuously, we are not observing the every moment, if there is a big gap between notings, in the mindfulness, that mindfulness would be strong. Mindfulness would be very weak. So a weak mindfulness will not be able to prevent the unwholesome mental states from entering into the stream of consciousness. Therefore, we should develop strong, high quality mindfulness. Therefore, in the text, it is said that the being mindful of the four field of mindfulness, the four foundations of mindfulness is the nearest cause to develop the high quality mindfulness. Another nearest cause is sanya, the form perception. So perception, sanya, is recognizing the object, cognition of the object. perceiving the object. Perceiving the objects one after another continuously. Thus it becomes form perception. And this form perception causes mindfulness to arise. The mindfulness, it becomes stronger and stronger, and this is also the nearest cause for the occurrence of good quality mindfulness. So the Buddha said that if one wants to experience benefits of the practice, one should cultivate and develop the extraordinary mindfulness, the satipatthana that can lead us to our goal. So here, what are the four fields or four foundations of the mindfulness? In Mahasatipatthana, the Buddha in about the four fields or foundations of mindfulness. They are the kaya, physical objects, vedana, feelings, chitta, consciousness or mind, and dhamma, mental objects or general objects or dhamma objects. These are the four fields where we can develop the good practice. So as the discourse, this discourse Mahasatipatthana Sutta is preached in the human, the Buddha first talked about the objects, bodily objects. Kaya, matter, and for human beings, physical objects are easy to discern. So the Buddha explained about the kaya. So what are the physical objects which we can easily see or easily experience? There are many physical objects occurring, arising within us, which is very clear to us also. Now, in our life, we are in any one of the four postures. We are sitting, sometimes we are standing, we are walking, lying down. So these postures, sitting, standing, lying down, it is also objects. These are physical objects. Those objects, there are also some small or minute physical occurring there. Sometimes we are bending our body in front, stretching, and sometimes we are moving arms and legs. We feel trembling, shaking, vibrating. Sometimes we feel stiffness, expansion, contraction, heaviness, lightness, cold, and smoothness, hardness, roughness, softness, many things we are having, we are feeling, we are experiencing. We have this movement in the abdomen, rising and falling movements. All those objects, those feelings are the physical objects. According to this course, whenever those physical objects are present, then we should observe it effort, and we should focus them, should apply so that the observation should be repeatedly, again and again, not just a one noting or two noting or few notings, but repeatedly. As those are predominant on it again and again, and that is called the repeated observation of physical objects. And here, anupassana. In Kaya Anupassana, there is anupassana. Anupassana means repeated observation. So we have to observe, we have to note those objects which are predominant at that time again and again. So in sitting meditation, when any one of those physical objects becomes predominant, we try to focus it, and we repeat. When that object disappears, then we return back the main object or maybe another object. Sometimes effort decreases. At the beginning of the sitting, the mind is very active, very alert, but sometimes when the time passes on, slowly decreases, and those objects become blurred, not clear. We do not have enough effort. When those becomes blurred, unclear, at that time, we need to increase the effort. Increase the effort, we need to focus it more, and so we can see those objects here again. So practicing, we can see objects observed clearly. At the beginning of sitting meditation, we try to stay with the main object, rising and falling movement in the abdomen. This is there almost all the time. To stay of sitting, and because it is there, we do not need to go and look for it. So the obvious, we try attention in the abdomen and try to continuously the rising and falling movement. If we try that way, we can feel, we can experience that the noting mind it becomes slowly stable. When it becomes calm and stable, we can stay with that object even longer. But when other prominent objects appears, like a pain or other sensations in the other parts of the body, then we know as long as predominant, when they are when they disappear, then we return again to the primary object, that is rising, falling, movement in the abdomen. And obvious objects, whenever they occur, we have to continuously. This means we do not have a time to take a rest from observing the objects. So here we should be very careful that we are not just gazing the object. We are really noting the object with full attention, with leveling. Why I am telling this is sometimes in the practice, when time passes on, the mind becomes inactive. The mind becomes slow, slackened, and we really do not focusing any object. We think we are focusing the objects, but actually we are focusing any object. And sometimes we are observing the objects in casual. So in that case, many thoughts, many imaginations, etc. may arise. Thoughts may occur in the, and sometimes we are talking ourselves. We are talking in the mind. And the mind is making decisions. The mind is making remarks, sometimes about the practice also, about the notings. So when those things happen, sometimes we don't realize that. We still think that, oh, I am still mindful. I am observing the objects very mindfully. My mindfulness is, but in reality, there is no mindfulness. Focusing the mind is not noting the objects effectively. When the mind is noting the in casual way, we don't know about the objects. We don't know about the objects. Therefore, we should note the objects very attentively. We have to be very careful in noting the. Practicing in casual way does not bring good results. The noting mind does not get momentum. It becomes sluggish day by day. No improvement, no progress in the practice. Then we feel bored. We lose the interest and do not apply effort. This can cause a chronic yogi. So every time we should try to be careful. Mindfulness is needed everywhere. This mindfulness is compared with, in the kitchen, salt is needed to cook. So too, mindfulness is needed to prevent unwholesome mental states and to allow the wholesome states. Mindfulness is also compared with rope. Our mind wanders all the time. It takes delight in the sense objects. If we want to tame this scattered mind, we need to fasten this mind on the object of observation with the help of rope of mindfulness. And we should fasten this mind on the object of observation again and again, so that the mind becomes calm and we feel very peaceful. And when the mind becomes calm, steady and still on the object of observation, we now can see the object very clearly. Mind, therefore the noting mind tight on the object of observation with of mindfulness, that the mind will not scatter, the mind will not wander here and there. The analogy given in the text is like this. A cowherd wants to tame a calf that had been raised on the milk. So a cowherd fastens or ties a calf with a rope into a pillar which dug into the ground. Then a calf struggled by rushing back and forth to get away from the pillar. But being unable to get away from the pillar, eventually a calf sit down by the pillar. So too, in the practice, we should, if we want to tame our scattered mind, we should tie this firmly on the object of observation with the help of mindfulness, so that the noting mind will settle on the object. So therefore, the continuous noting of the objects is very, very important. The yogis should noting the objects one after another. Therefore, I would like to urge you all to follow the schedule very strictly, the timetable, the daily timetable. Try to be mindful all the time. Do not talk with each other. When you go to when you go to dining hall for breakfast and lunch, and after coming back from dining hall, on the way to your room, on the way to Dhamma hall, please be mindful all the time. Please do not talk when you're walking here and there. Try to keep mindfulness. Try to keep your mind active and alert, so that you will experience the power of mindfulness. That's all for today.